Hey yo, it's me, it's RVE. What's up, everyone? It's the RVE Raven Effect here. Back for the Heelcast, my first actual Heelcast of 2019. I'm excited. I've been wanting to do this for a while. We've got quite the dais with us today. Unfortunately, I brought this guy along with me, my old partner in crime, or the grouchy old married couple. I've got the Impact Dude with me. Are you still Impact Dude these days? For as long as it's been a while.
I'm thinking of being Impact Dude versus everything, actually, but I feel like that gimmick's been taken.
DVE, yeah, maybe the CV, I don't know. But then again, there's those OVE guys that are tearing it up. It's good to have the Impact Dude back for my first show of 2019. We got a special guest with us, and then we've got an even more special guest. Now, the most special person of all, the monster return of Griggs. For the love of God, Griggs, you're alive. What's up, man?
Nothing much. Thanks for that warm welcome there.
And it was a little bit of a tease, but if Count listens, I was gonna pop it and mark out for Griggs. And I've told people many times on the show, Griggs does way more work than people have any idea of. Griggs keeps us going as much as Hurls does. Griggs is just behind the scenes, so it's awesome to have Griggs along. And we do got a very special guest here, a member of the Impact roster on its own right. The infamous, the most over referee to come along in a long time, Kid Ref, is with us here tonight. Am I good to call you Kid Ref?
Sure, man. Kid Ref, Kris Levin, whatever you want. I'm just happy to be here.
All right. I mean, it's impactasylum.net. When I guess I wasn't paying enough attention right after all the refs left, but I was just kind of seeing like, what in the heck is this Kid Ref guy that literally everyone is talking about? You're one of the most over talents on that entire site, and that site's been around forever. So it's quite the accomplishment there. So it's nice to have you on, and really cool stuff to have. So we're gonna talk a lot of just wrestling overall and Impact that we got going on.
Thanks, man. It's all incredibly flattering because growing up I was a really shy, introverted guy before I kind of found pro wrestling and came out of my shell a bit. And before pro wrestling, I didn't have many friends. And to kind of come full circle and to have all of these, flattering interactions with fans, it really means a lot to me. It really makes me smile every time.
Good to hear. What's crazy is like when I go back and I think of when I was younger and growing up, the fact that I loved pro wrestling stopped me from having as many friends as I would have. I still got, but I was like one of the cooler kids, but just like people knew my secret that I liked wrestling, and so when high school came around, I was like, I should pipe down on it, but yeah, so that's awesome to hear. And I guess one thing I was thinking about earlier when I knew we were gonna do the show is like, remember when Impact lost all the referees, like when the Hebners left and stuff, and I mean people were even kind of talking like doom and gloom sort of a thing, and like it's rare that it happens, but some referees legitimately are really over. Like even since before WrestleMania 4, like Earl Hebner's been like super over, like this made man. His son was over in Impact. Little Nate, Charlie Robinson, or was it Charles Robinson, and then had Nick Patrick, and then for some reason they had a referee named Slick Johnson at one point, and that got itself over in the early days of TNA, if you know what I mean. But like, people were kind of worried, and it's like we don't necessarily have that ref, and we kind of wonder what to do with the product. But this guy's came around and been like super over, and I think it's pretty awesome, and especially to have you on the show. So I just want to point out there, it's hard for ref to get over, but Kid Ref has gotten over.
And it's all completely happenstance, I guess you could say, because I don't really ever try to do anything to go out of my way to stand out. There's two different types of philosophies with referee style, with gimmick referees, character referees versus more straight-laced. And I've always patterned myself after the more straight-laced officials, but I always get put in the category of a character ref, which doesn't bother me. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But it just happened on its own. I have no ego about it or myself or anything like that. I would never go on my way to say I'm over or anything like that, but just, all the positivities, it always means a lot to me. I always appreciate it.
Yeah, I've never actually seen you do anything that made me think you were trying to get yourself over as a ref. It's just, I think your youthful vitality has just gotten you so over.
I think a big part of it is I always try to approach pro wrestling from more than just the wrestling side of things. Like, whether it's studying theater or studying music, books, literature, I try to take all of it in and put it into my performance and what I'm doing. And I'm when a lot of people always talk about my facial expressions and my reactions, and believe it or not, that's not me hamming it up or anything like that. That's just me as a person. I love pro wrestling. It's what I live and breathe and have for going on 15 years just about now. Like that, it's been my greatest obsession in life, and the fact that I'm able to do that and be in there it never ceases to amaze me or astound me and excite me. And I think that's a big part of it. The fact that I'm just as happy to be there as other wrestling fans, fellow wrestling fans, because I'm a fan of wrestling. I feel like they might be able to share that with me.
Kris, plugging that what's your schedule been like as of late?
It's been crazy busy, and I absolutely love it. Anywhere from 1 to 3 shows per week, and zigzagging. Most of it's all. I'm from South Jersey, right outside Atlantic City, so most of it's all within about a 4-hour range of that. New Jersey, PA, New York. When we were in Tennessee a few weeks back with Impact, and a few days later, right to Mexico City. Other than that, during the week, I write for Ripley's, believe it or not, now as a contributing writer, and I'm also doing online classes. So I'm always super busy, and sometimes it feels like there's no days off, and I don't have any breaks from it all. But I love it. It's a really good problem to have.
Yeah, no doubt. I didn't even know about the Ripley's thing. What exactly are you doing with Ripley's now, writing for them?
Oh yeah, so so growing up outside of Atlantic City, where they have a Ripley's auditorium, I always just I was always in awe of it. I idolized Robert Ripley and everything about Ripley's, believe it or not, the weird, the strange, historical aspects, the anthropological studies of other cultures. I always thought it was all amazing. And about January of 2018, I started writing with thegorillposition.com, which was it's a great wrestling website, and I was doing kind of anthropological studies of subcultures within pro wrestling, whether it's lucha or death matches, and kind of talking about my experiences with these things. And one time I wanted to try something different, and I wrote an article on a serial killer who was discovered to be a luchadora in Mexico City. And it was really cool. I was able to get a lot of firsthand interviews with people who had worked with her, and I was able to dig up some evidence and just details around her and the case that had never been, so far as I understand, they were never released at all, but definitely not in English. And Ripley's got a hold of it, and they really dug it. I did a condensed version for them because I like to go long form and really go into every detail, leave no stone uncovered. And it turned out to be one of their most popular articles of all of 2018. And yeah, since then I try to fit in wrestling articles whenever I can, but yeah, roughly about 1 per month or so I do with them, and it's a blast. It's a labor of love for sure.
That's awesome. It sounds like you're definitely a busy guy, especially with the schedule, with your wrestling schedule too. Is there, we got all that with Kid Ref. Is there anything else, Kid Ref or Kris wise, that you want to make sure people know about or can catch you at?
Oh yeah, before jumping into everything, I'm on social media at Ref Kris Levin, and my name is spelled with a K, and that's Instagram and Twitter. And I have Kid Ref shirts available in the Nickelodeon 90s splat logo style, and I'm on Facebook as well, just under my my real name, Kris Levin. And yeah, I get so many friend requests. Please, if you want to add me, please, that's fine. Just shoot me a message so I know who you are. Just to weed out all the bots and everything like that. But yeah, man, I'm doing great, loving it. Reffing with Impact, Game Changer Wrestling, which is setting the world ablaze right now. MLW, Chikara. It's a good time to be in pro wrestling, especially on the independents. There's a new vitality to it that hasn't been around in quite some time. It's been building, you know what I mean? And it's on fire.
That's great to hear, man. Yeah, MLW, I've kind of been trying to get into MLW as well. I'm loving it. Kind of sucks that they're on the same night as Impact, but that's what DVRs are for. I'm excited, man. We got a huge show tonight. There's a lot of news. We haven't been able to get the Heelcast out weekly like we've always kind of planned, so we've kind of changed our format. So we're going to be talking about the angles and stuff that we see on Impact each week. And then we're going to kind of have, some Kid Ref questions at the end. So going to be a fun thing. A lot to talk about. Now, first thing that kind of comes to mind I didn't get a chance to talk about, and I know that the Impact dude and Hurls got to, but we lost Abyss and Sanjay Dutt. Abyss, you know, kind of Mr. TNA in the long run, because I never really expected this guy would leave. You know, I remember when WrestleMania 19, I think, or maybe it was one of the 20s came around, he got that offer to come wrestle The Undertaker, and he turned it down, loyal to TNA. So he left to go to the WWE as an agent. I'm glad that he got inducted into the Hall of Fame so badly. It's so well deserved, maybe a year or two ahead of time even. But I just wanted to get that out there. We're gonna miss them. Best of luck to him. I'm gonna go to Kid Rock's questions here, but Griggs, was there anything you felt you needed to chime in on this one?
No, I mean, Abyss will definitely be missed, and so will Sanjay. It was good to have them while they have, but I mean, they're off to not better things, but off to different things, and we'll see where it goes from there.
I actually have something to add on that, if y'all don't mind. Both Sanjay and Abyss are two guys who have really meant a lot to me in my career. I first met Sanjay, I believe it was 2013. I think it was David Starr, Shane Strickland, and I went to a random show in Virginia, and he happened to be on it. Sanjay, that is. Pronouns, pal, right? And we worked together and got along really well, and we happened to get together a few more times over the course of the next year or so, and we kept in touch. Sanjay got me involved when Global Force Wrestling did some live events in the Northeast area. He always brought me out to those. And then when Impact, in the summer of 2017, when they tried out doing live events again, they did 2 in New York, and Sanjay brought me in for those as well. And November, when they started to figure out the new regime change, Sanjay was the one who brought me to the dance, man. He was the one who got me involved with Impact in a full-time position. And it's something that he changed my life. I'm always going to be a Sanjay guy, so far as I'm concerned. I'm always going to be loyal to Sanjay. And the professional relationship we've developed, the friendship we've developed, he means the world to me. And I'm very grateful for this opportunity. I owe it all to him. I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be here today. My life has been so weird and strange and wonderful since November of 2017 when everything changed, and it's all because of him. And with Abyss, I never met Abyss before I came to Impact. That first week I started up, he was the one who wanted me to do be the ref for the Turkey Bowl, for the Eli Drake Turkey Trot. And it was one of I forget if it was the second or third or fourth day of the loop, because that was back when we did 6-7 days in a row. And I don't know if it was just because he saw how expressive I was when I refereed or whatever, but he handpicked me back when we barely knew each other. And I feel the turkey suit whole thing has become one of the highlights that I do every year with Impact, and something I have a lot of fun with. So I feel like that's kind of what helped me make my bones at Impact. And the way that people describe working with Dusty Rhodes, how he would paint out angles and stories and matches like a movie, and how influential he was to careers. And I really feel that way about Abyss. He is a genius when it comes to the art of professional wrestling. And like Sanjay, not only is he great at his job, but he's an incredible friend too. Abyss and Sanjay both, anytime something was wrong, I needed to vent, or I was confused, or I had, just growing pains, coming to this international stage, they were always the ones who would pull me aside and talk to me and help me figure things out. And, it's such a bittersweet thing. I'm so incredibly happy for them to be moving on to just a different phase in life, something that's new and exciting for them. And at the same time, I'm sad that I'm not going to get to work with these two hugely influential figures in my life every month like I'm used to. I'm not going to see my friends and hang out with them every month. But, that's just the nature of the beast. That's how pro wrestling is. So I'm very happy for them. I'm going to miss them dearly. I'm sure we'll be seeing each other down the line somewhere.
So Kris, you mentioned that these guys are hugely influential, and even called Abyss a genius, right? How does Impact go about replacing that, or attempting to replace that?
I don't think replace is the right word, because the way I look at it, you hear some, right, this hip fire reaction of, is Impact in trouble, which, it's not the case at all. Impact's been firing all cylinders and doing great. Impact is hurt by this in the same way that any company is hurt when they lose a top-notch professional, which is, it really sucks to see them go, but at the same time, Impact has a lot of other great professionals, and I believe it's in Japanese, the word for oh god, I'm gonna botch this now. It's the word for not catastrophe, but like that, just that general idea of a catastrophe and an opportunity being the same word, and that's the same thing. This isn't a catastrophe. It's just that it's going to leave an opportunity for other people to step in and try their hand at things, and I think that's a really cool opportunity to see how that goes. I'm real excited for it.
That was great. That was great stuff. And the Sanjay thing. I mean, who would have thought or known about that? And I also, and John actually asked the question. I thought as soon as you said genius, I thought, man, that sucks for the roster. But Sanjay, I don't want to feel like I was only giving props and we're gonna miss Abyss, because I'm a big Sanjay fan. When he won the X Division title, because he always had that stigma, the best wrestler to never win the X Division title. I was very happy for him. I felt like it was really overdue and well deserved. And then I clamored on this show for so long about how much I wanted to see a PD Williams and Sanjay Dutt tag team and hopefully tag team championship run. Little disappointed we're not going to get to see that. I think it could have been really great, but I wish the best of them to both guys, because I've been a fan of both basically since I've seen both of them. I don't like that company that they're headed to, but I still wish them the best of success, and it's very cool to hear that. And the Sanjay stuff, I would have never thought. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh no, I was just going to say, I hope I didn't shortchange Sanjay at all, because he's another guy. He's really a genius. He's someone who he's going to be he already is a mover and a shaker in pro wrestling, and I think that's only going to be an upward continuing trend from here on out. As his influence grows more and more in the world of professional wrestling, you couldn't ask for a better guy for the job.
Absolutely. Now, one thing I kind of wanted to bring up, and I don't know if the Impact dude brought this up on the show and him and Hurls did it, but when we first heard about this news, the Impact dude made like the best point. It was kind of a laughable thing, but the Impact fans that are just so damn critical all the time, and it was we get the complainers on there about creative needs to go, creative needs to change, they need to do this, they need to do that, and just gripe because it's all they do. And then as soon as these guys leave, it's the end of the world, and what's Impact gonna do? I just that stood out to me, because it's just been like goddamn hypocritical, and I feel Impact Wrestling, like, because of the stigma and stuff that they had so many years ago, which I think a lot of it was unwarranted, and just how can be the redheaded stepchild sometimes, and I think very unfairly, but even our own fan base is just so damn critical sometimes, and it's like they'll look for anything to bitch and gripe about when the shows have actually been really great. And it's change comes around. I've seen Raven around, and that's who I'm really hoping is going to come in as either an agent or creative. Like I have my hopes sky high. Obviously with where I took my name from, but let's hope for the best, and we'll see where it goes from there. Now, another thing here, we had big news coming out. The Lucha brothers, Phoenix and Pentagon, they have signed a contract with the new All Elite Wrestling. Now, I've heard two different reports. I've heard one saying that it's going to be an exclusive deal with them, and then I've also I think Griggs was the one that broke a site to us that says it was non-exclusive. It does look like they finished up with MLW, so that has me a little bit scared. They're our tag team champions, but they've been huge additions to the roster. Griggs, got any thoughts on this? I mean, you kind of broke that other news, but I mean, I'm a little bit nervous about this.
Actually, just on MLW's TV show this week, I guess they're staying with MLW. Conan and Lucha Brothers announced on the show that they're going to still partake in MLW. So I believe they're working all promotions still.
Yeah, and let's face it, they announced last year that they had signed through the end of 2019 with MLW. So unless they had some sort of get out clause and executed it, that's what they're doing. These guys, in my mind, Kris, by all means, jump in on this one, but these guys, they've really seemed to epitomize what wrestling is about in 2019, jumping from promotion to promotion, getting lots of airtime, doing everything that's not WWE all at the same time, and probably making a heck of a good living doing it. Is this the wave of the future, Kris? Is this something you think is going to happen with more and more wrestlers?
You know, I think that's one of the coolest things about 2019, because, you know, when I started in 2007, you could have never envisioned a landscape like this, where you had the opportunity to work for so many places and have so many different collaborations. And I think they're awesome. I think Pentagon Jr. is one of the best characters and, you know, performers, wrestlers all around in pro wrestling today. And Phoenix, I think you got to give it to him as the most incredible high flyer in wrestling today. Just, I mean, the innovations this guy is doing, he's pushing the art of professional wrestling forward in a very positive way. And the fact that it's not just that they're not just doing it at one place with, you know, one set of roster, you know, they're doing it everywhere with all these different people. And I think it's awesome, man. That's how you keep pushing the boundaries and keep moving everything forward. This is the future of what pro wrestling is. And it's so exciting to be at the forefront of that.
Yeah, I mean, it really has been, and I agree with you so much about the Pentagon comment. Like, I mean, Phoenix is great, you know, and I enjoy the guy, but Pentagon is just to me, he's a whole different level. And I mean, I think the Lucha Underground thing, for one, makes him different because, like, the character and the way he's booked on there is so freaking good. You know, and he's just like this badass killer. And, you know, he debuts in Impact in 2 match, you know, wins his first match in that triple threat. Next match, he's our world champ. And, you know, and I see him all over MLW too. So I'm glad that he's going to stick with not only MLW because I'm enjoying them and it's nice to see a startup, but definitely someone I'm scared to death that the Impact will lose. So I'm happy to see that. And I like that they're getting that opportunity. John or Griggs, or Dude or Griggs, anyone have something that they want to say about the Pentagon or Phoenix before we head on here? All right, I'm going to take that as a no.
I tell you, Raven Effect, what I want to hear about, what I want to know about is what is going on with LAX. You know, what does their current deal look like? You know, we heard the rumors that their contract expired. We know that they were negotiating. You know, are they back in the saddle for the long haul? Are they there for the short haul? You know, what happens with LAX in 2019?
You know, I didn't know about that until Griggs brought it up, you know, right before the show started, and that would be a devastating loss. These guys, you know, and I remember some indie show tried to book them that WWE has ties to, and Impact pulled them, and it was like, thank God. These guys are so awesome. And I think Santana is a star coming out. I think this is just they've been tag team of the year. I mean, even Wrestling Inc. did. So, like, you know, pro WWE and anti-Impact and stuff, they actually got voted by the viewers the tag team of the year. These guys have just been on fire. I mean, it's so hard to not be in LAX. Even when they were heels, I mean, how can anyone not love these guys? And they've just gotten so over. You know, and Conan was a huge help, but I mean, they're at a status now where they put on such great performances and matches. I feel like they could even lose Conan and still be as over as they are. I mean, Kris, what's your thoughts? Or, I mean, not saying if you know anything, but I mean, LAX, man, are you going to stick around in Impact?
You know, I have no idea where they're going or anything like that. I don't get involved in that sort of stuff, but I just want to say I love working with them. These are two guys that I came up with, you know, in that New York, New Jersey, PA area. I remember I've known them since before they were even teaming together, back in Brooklyn, New York, working with them. And man, they are so good. I mean, they were always good, but they've matured in rings so far. And I honestly think they're the best tag team in the world today. I'm not going to say there aren't other teams that are right up there, but I don't think there's any that are better. That's for sure. I mean, they're just so dynamic and creative, and they're really changing the way tag team wrestling is done and produced. And I couldn't be happier. Both of them are great guys, and I just. No matter what's going on, I'll say I love being in the ring with them. I love being in the locker room with them.
Yeah, Kris, let's talk about LAX for just a couple minutes here. It feels to me like both of those guys have gotten larger since that they have joined Impact. Have they bulked up?
Oh yeah, I would say so for sure. Yeah, I would say. And I still have a quick story, just a little weird, quirky thing. Angel Ortiz. He's a guy. They love music, man, soulful music, and I love music too. And they always will have a little speaker with them that's blasting some good tunes. And when we were in Mexico in September, he walked into the locker room and he was playing Africa by Toto. And I'm like, I started grooving to it, like, yeah, I haven't heard this song in a minute. Like, this is hot. And the second I heard, like, again, years since I heard it, I walk out and I walk into the arena, and they were just trying to let fans in, and over the loudspeaker for the whole entire arena, they're playing Africa by Toto. And I'm just like, what a weird coincidence that was. And ever since then, that's been in, like, my near daily rotation of a song I listen to, man.
I mean, I got to say that when you said it had been a while since you listened to it, it's like on my regular playlist.
So good.
Love that song. Now, let's talk the Concrete Deathmatch, right? Bound for Glory. Do you remember? I was there in the front row, and I am literally watching you the entire time. My eyes are on you trying to get that board back in place. I mean, I know you said that was probably the most challenging match you've ever had to ref because of that. Am I right?
That was one of the most stress-inducing, lifespan-shortening matches that I've ever officiated. I'm talking not just for the talent, but for me personally, just through all of it. So, for anyone who hasn't seen it, first of all, go watch it. Just it's a miracle in footwork of the talent who did it. The fact that they were able to do that without snapping an ankle, hyperextending a knee, because it was a legitimately dangerous situation. You know what I mean? I feel like I made my bones on a national stage in wrestling with doing death matches. I started with CZW, and I really got into it with Game Changer Wrestling, who were pushing the envelope so much with deathmatch wrestling, doing incredible things. And then DTU down in Mexico, touring with them throughout Central Mexico. So I was really excited to be put as the official on that, because with deathmatch wrestling, the rule is if anything can go wrong, it likely will go wrong. So I developed a really good sense of kind of crisis management, of thinking on my feet, and regardless of if someone gets hurt, if something goes wrong, being able to just logically reason out, okay, let's do this, let's do that, and just help everyone through it, facilitate communication. And for anyone who hasn't seen this match, this was the Concrete Jungle Death Match. This is a feud-ending blow-off, and it is LAX versus Homicide and Hernandez. So LAX versus the OGs, or who were the original LAX. And the canvas, the padding underneath the canvas, and the turnbuckles were removed. So all we have are the exposed boards. Now, just to keep everything tight, there was a I forget the exact term for it, but there was a rope that was around it that you cranked to really tighten it, like a strap, and there was two of them, and they were supposed to hold the boards in place, so it was going to be one flat surface. Now, when everyone comes out and makes their entrance, everyone's walking on the boards, so anyone who knows how a wrestling ring works, everything, it kind of has a little bounce to it, not like a trampoline, just like it's a hard surface, but everything kind of bounces around. And as the boards bounced around just a little bit, just like a little inch or two, as they're made to, which is what causes that distinctive sound we always hear whenever anything's going on in a ring, they pop up out of these straps that are tightened. So there's a board sticking up now, because it's tightened so hard that you can't just push it back down, and we don't have the ability to loosen those straps or anything like that. So we just have a board sticking up in the dead center of the ring, where all the action happens. So we have two issues right now. The board sticking up creates an uneven surface, so anyone who's landing on that is risking even worse injury than they would have just by landing on a hard surface in itself, because it's sticking up. On the other hand, the fact that tension has been loosened is causing these boards to move. So it's loosened enough that they're moving, but not enough that you could put the board back in. So it was like the absolute worst case scenario of all of the worst things that could happen. Uneven surface, and it's moving. It was like a fun house, man. And everyone's screaming in my ear from the back, about warning everyone to be careful. And just quick thinking, just on my part, I just from years of deathmatch wrestling, I kind of assessed the situation. I was like, this board in the middle is keeping everything a little steady, but the uneven surface is, the juice isn't worth the squeeze in that one. It makes it too dangerous. So I just lifted up the board and just shoved it right out of the ring onto the ramp that was connected to the ring, which was perfect. It was dead center of the ring, so it slid right back there. And throughout the rest of the match, I was just working my damnedest to keep those boards in line. They were slipping and sliding, whether it was apart or out, and just anytime I had to, hopping out of the ring, pushing them back, holding everything together as best as I could. And I mean, I don't want to make it sound like I held the match together or anything like that, because I didn't. Those guys, those 4 performers, and of course Callihan ringside and Eddie Kingston ringside, they worked their asses off and put on an incredible match. And I just did what I could to help facilitate it, and it was a challenge for sure.
I have never seen a referee work so hard in a match in my life. Dude, you were understating what you did. I mean, I literally, I watched the match, don't get me wrong. The match itself, like you said, was amazing. But you in that match were walking around the ring. I mean, you were just working your tail off. And you could tell by watching you that you were obviously very concerned, obviously taking things very, very seriously, but also, like you said, doing your damnedest for the safety of those performers in that ring. And I hope that when you got to the back, you got a big high five from all the guys in the back, and hopefully a couple hugs from the guys that were wrestling. Well, maybe not.
Yes, yeah, I did. There was a lot of high fives and hugs and tears just for the fact that we survived it, It was such a high stress thing because, I'm worried. First and foremost, my job is to make sure everyone's okay to the best of my ability. And this is a situation where they're inherently they're at great risk, more so than usual. And so I'm concerned about that. There's a chance I could get hurt, which, as someone who uses their body, like as an official, like to make my living, if I'm hurt, that's a problem, because then how am I making my living, if I can't referee? And on top of that, we have the added stress of being live on pay-per-view. So there's a very strict set of allotted time for the entire show and for each segment. So everything that's going wrong can be going wrong, but we need to figure it out on the fly, live on pay-per-view. There's no time for retaping anything or anything like that, or stopping, fixing the ring, then going back to it. We're out there, we're doing it, and if it takes longer than it's supposed to, it messes up everything. So creates a domino effect of it. So it was just very, very nerve-wracking all around, but thankfully we all got through it okay.
Yeah, that Concrete Jungle match just had so much going around, and we did see, even on the pay-per-view, just saw you working hard, and it was pretty damn awesome there. And I feel like the Impact needs to get more credit for the Concrete Jungle match itself, because it was just so unique and different, and it's hard to do in this day and age. And I also, I got to ask you a question here in a minute, but I also want to say, I 100% agree with you. LAX, in my opinion, is just, they really are the best tag team in the world right now. That OG's feud was really something of a dream match almost, or dream feud. But bringing this up, what's the craziest thing you've seen in one of these death matches?
Oh, God. Game Changer Wrestling and DTU would definitely be at the forefront of that, with the Nick Gage versus Matt Tremont trilogy at Game Changer Wrestling was incredibly intense, and I believe it was the last match in the series that they instead of having like a regular canvas and mat for that, they took stones, 2-3 inch tablets, like you would line an outside garden with, and those squares were the ring, that was what they were throwing each other on and falling on. And, anytime you see the use of fire, syringes, they're sticking syringes through each other's cheeks. Now, I'm not just Tremont and Gage. I just mean in DTU and GCW, broken glass. It's tattoo needles, cinder blocks. It's insane, man. It's a lot of scary stuff.
And the other thing that kind of bugged my mind was, is there one in particular that was your favorite to be a part of? In any company that you worked for?
You mean a death match?
Yeah, a death match in particular, because I know you've written on them and stuff. And we're on the topic. Has there been any kind of crazy death match that just stood out, or was your favorite to be a part of?
You know, it would be hard to single out one. I mean, the Concrete Jungle Death match meant a ton to me because that was, you know, you don't like that was a legitimate death match. The stipulations, like a lot of times you'll see like a larger televised company call something a death match, but it's very, you know, milk toast compared to what they're doing in Game Changer in Japan and Mexico. But that was like a full out death match that would have, you know, held up with any others in terms of intensity and just how nuts it was. So being able to be part of that for a major company was really cool. The fact that so much went wrong and I was able to help with holding it together also meant a lot to me because I you know, I'm not going to say I like when things go wrong, but I like the challenge because I trust myself as a professional enough to handle it to the best of my ability in situations like that. So I was really grateful for that. Man, I've done so many crazy death matches with GCW and DT over the years. There's so many. I would definitely suggest checking out their catalog online and taking a dive into it, checking out the music videos, see what grabs you, because if you're into death matches or open-minded to seeing what they're all about, it's a really incredible art form for sure.
You know, it was definitely apparent in that match that I don't want to say the stage wasn't too big for you, but that you weren't out of your element. It would have been very easy in that situation for a lesser ref or somebody maybe with less experience with death matches too, just kind of get overcome by the situation and not really know where to go. And it was very apparent with the way that you worked with a purpose the entire time. And knowing what you wanted to do and what you wanted to try to do, that you'd been there and done that before. And I think that those performers are just really lucky to have you and that experience in that ring at that particular moment in time.
It was all right place, right time. And something that I found out afterwards that I considered a huge compliment was in the back, they were about to send the other officials, Brandon Toll and Johnny Bravo, out to assist me with just helping keep everything together. But then right before they were going to, they stopped and they're like, you know what, he's got it. And the fact that they trusted me enough to have, you know, not only the health of the match, the well-being of the match, but also the performers, and just to handle all of that craziness on my own, that was a huge compliment. And that's one of those moments in my career I'll never forget.
No, I mean, we've been talking death matches and all, but, you know, something else kind of pops up, some Impact news that's been big over the week. When we think death matches and some hardcore stuff and all, I mean, a certain homicidal, genocidal, suicidal maniac kind of comes to mind from the old days. Now we've got the big announcement. So it's April 4th, the WrestleMania weekend. We've got the Impact show, and I mean, last year's was amazing to have the Lucha Underground versus Impact Wrestling. But now we've got Pentagon and Phoenix, our World Tag Team Champions, defending against Sabu and the returning former Impact World Champion, Mr. Monday Night, the whole effing show, Rob Van Dam. I'm so excited for this. Like, it's. I know RVD and Sabu, you know, they're not in the prime of their careers anymore, but this is in a way like a dream match, and I'm excited to see these guys come back. I can't wait for April 4th. Impact, dude, did you have any thoughts on this? I mean, what popped into mind? We were all kind of waiting on this for the whole week, pretty much.
I think getting RVD in the ring with the Lucha Brothers just sounds like a lot of fun, doesn't it? Like, I'm not so sold on Sabu. I'm not a huge Sabu guy. Never really was. But, you know, I think this is going to be a great opportunity to see RVD try to be RVD of old, trying to keep up with these young guys and the flash of Phoenix and the sheer awesomeness of Pentagon Jr. This is the kind of match that people will stay up until 1 o'clock in the morning to watch because they're probably going to have to anyway. But this just sounds like a lot of fun, and let's face it, these are former ECW guys that are going to draw in that area and bring in some fans at that particular time of night. But this is very different. This is creative being creative. I would love to know who came up with the concept and idea behind creating that particular match, and I would like to thank them for doing it.
Yeah, I also would definitely like to see Rob Van Dam stay around a little bit longer. Hopefully, it's just not a one-off. Maybe give some nostalgia, you know, back, some star power that may have been missing in Impact. I would like to see him stay around, but it definitely is a once-in-a-lifetime match, and we're going to definitely see the opportunity to see it. Kris, do you know or happen to know if you'll be reffing during the WrestleMania weekend?
Well, I'll definitely be at that event and officiating on that event, WrestleMania weekend. That's for sure. I have a loaded week, and as of now, I have 8 bookings in a span of 3 or 4 days. I'm not sure how I'm going to survive it, or if I am. But no, we don't do the referee lineups till the day of. I'm going to say right off the bat, I would imagine that Johnny Bravo, the head Impact official, would be getting that match. And as much as I'd love to, I would hope he gets it, just because, not because I have any concerns about handling it or anything, just because he's the head guy, and that should be his match. But I'm really excited for it too. It's, we have so many innovators. Like we were talking earlier about how innovative Pentagon and Phoenix are, and Rob Van Dam and Sabu, if they weren't doing the innovative things they were doing throughout the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, who knows if we would have had a Pentagon and Phoenix, pushing the envelope just as much. So to see that these two different generations clash in a environment that's going to allow them that canvas to paint whatever they want to do, it's something that everyone should be excited about, because I know I am.
Yeah, honestly, I'm super excited for the show. And I mean, I do get a little bit on this one. I wanted to say, because it's been something that's kind of burned at me. I mean, I know the Impact dude says he's not a big Sabu guy. I always was. I'll be honest. There was something that came out a little bit a couple years ago about an incident with Sabu at a hotel room and a dog and stuff that is really, it's hard to believe rumors or not, but it's soured my opinion to Sabu a lot. But Rob Van Dam, I feel RVD, I'm excited, so excited. I feel this guy is one of the most underrated guys as far as an all-time great goes. I feel like his television title run on ECW was literally the best mid-card title reign that anyone has ever had in any company. This guy used to put on so many great matches, and I mean, Kris just mentioned, you talk about innovative, man, the stuff that RVD did. We're talking about a WWE, TNA, and I mean, ECW and the WWE champ. This is when Paul Heyman ran it, and I feel like those first 3 title reigns, that actually legitimately counts, and I know that RVD rubbed a lot of TNA fans wrong, and we had some fans saying that he was packing it in at the end of his run there and didn't try hard or whatnot. It didn't ever really stick out to me that he was doing that. I know AJ Styles kind of griped about how RVD didn't hook the leg and bitched about him in his shoot when he left, but I've seen so many RVD matches. I don't know that I ever saw him hook the leg after the 5-star frog splash, and I just kind of feel like maybe you're reaching a little bit. But the one thing too about RVD that I wanted to say was when they first did that invasion angle in the WW and they bought out WCW and they had ECW, he had that feud with Austin and Angle, and RVD when he came in was literally the most over guy out there, and he was getting bigger props than The Rock, than Austin, than Kurt Angle at the time, and I feel like WWF needed to pull the trigger and just held him down because he was not the guy they wanted at the time. But I'm excited for RVD to come back, see that Rob Van Dam spark back, see some Van Terminators and Van Daminators, and man, this is awesome. I just can't wait to go. So.
And I got to add one thing here. Rob Van Dam's entire shtick has always been based on ego. His ego of being the best in the ring. And now he's 20 years older, and these guys are every bit as good as he was in his prime. This is going to bring out the best in Rob Van Dam, because that's what Rob Van Dam's all about. And I just can't wait to see what he's got left in the tank, because I think he's bringing it. I think we're going to get Rob Van Dam at his very best that he can possibly be here in 2019 in this match.
No doubt, man. And also, so, I mean, I know you said that you're working this event now. I saw, and I think this is so cool, MLW and Impact they're working together to make sure, their shows don't overrun with one another, to make sure, anyone that wants to go to both shows can get the time to do that. Are you working both shows this time?
Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be at MLW, their events that weekend. Just the way my schedule has turned out, I'm not sure that I'll be able to get back between Jersey and New York in time. If I'm always open-minded to the fact that may change, but right now it's not looking good. But I wish MLW the best. I love working with them any opportunity I get to. I actually this past last weekend when MLW was in the ECW arena, one of the coolest, most flattering moments of my career ever happened. So, I mean, you guys know the Philadelphia fans are notorious for. They like to have fun. They can be surly at times, but not in a bad way. They like to.
They threw snowballs at Santa Claus, bud. They threw snowballs at Santa Claus. I'm just saying.
So as someone, I live exactly 1 hour from the ECW arena in South Jersey. So I grew up going to that a lot, and the tradition there, you boo all the referees, which it's harmless fun, and it's something I always have a good time with. And I was really flabbergasted when working with MLW was one of my first time being in the ECW arena as one of the senior officials. Before, it was always me as low man on the totem pole, working with CZW or working with Ring of Honor. But when I came out, I was floored to find like the fans cheered me. They were happy to see me come out. They started kid ref and baby ref chants, and it was so incredibly humbling to, go from being one of those fans who was, sitting in that arena watching the action and booing all the referees, a decade ago, to now like they get a kick out of me coming out, which is, it's surreal. Words can't describe it.
That's amazing. That's an amazing journey that you've really been on. You know what I'm saying? And it's so cool to kind of hear it from end to end. Now look, Kris, I got a question for you, bud.
Mm-hmm.
What are you think of some of the current stars that maybe you haven't gotten to work with that you'd like to work with? Who's out there that you have not got to ref that you'd really like to ref some of their matches, and why? That's difficult for me to say, because I don't mean to come across the wrong way, but I don't get the opportunity to watch too much wrestling that I'm not directly involved with. Just between how busy I am with school and with traveling and writing and things like that, and I don't get to watch much wrestling that I'm not directly at and involved with. And most of the companies that I'm at, I have the opportunity to work with most of their guys. So I think that there's a lot of guys out there who I haven't worked with in a while, or that I love every time I see the lineup and that my name's next to their match. I haven't been in the ring with Shane Strickland for a while, and that's someone I miss being in there with. I haven't been in the ring with Austin Aries for a while, and that's someone I love being in the ring with. It's only maybe once or twice a year I get to be in the ring with Low Key. That's another one who I absolutely love collaborating with in there. Sammi Callihan, thankfully I get to work with him and Rich Swann a lot at Impact, and those two are some of my favorite people of all time. I actually refereed a match for them at Impact One Night Only with Pennsylvania Premier Wrestling out in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, a company I work with regularly, and they had a singles match, and that was really special for me to be able to be the third man in there. Or kid, I guess. Third kid ref in there. Now, what about guys that are maybe deceased or retired at this point that you never got a chance to work with? I know you're a huge, huge history buff in the world of professional wrestling. There's got to be a few that just stand out as like, man, if I could have worked with this guy.
Oh God, so many, man. Like, the first time I refereed an Arena Afición in Pachuca, Mexico, they have like a wall theme. It's a full-time wrestling arena. It's not like it's co-opted for anything else. It's a wrestling arena, and maybe sometimes boxing. Like, there's a wrestling ring that's in there 24/7. And to see all the guys on the wall who have been in that arena, that I was able to stand in that same spot, change in that same locker room, referee, and maybe even that same ring with how the rings in Mexico are. Like, for historical significance, like an El Santo, or and so many spectacles, whether it's the Andre the Giant, the Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, Bruno Sammartino, my favorite wrestler of all time, Terry Funk. The list goes on and on. I really am a history buff. I just devour everything pro wrestling. Ric Flair, Buddy Rogers. One of my favorite matches of all time was the clips that surfaced from Ric Flair versus Buddy Rogers from, I believe it was 70 or 76 or 78. That would have been my dream match to referee for sure.
Well, all I got to say is you mentioned Terry Funk, and as long as there's a breath in that man's lungs left, there's a chance that you might get a shot to actually ref him. I don't think he's ever actually going to retire. I don't care what he says. He'll be back.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed. That's my one. If I could referee with any single person, it would be Terry Funk. That's that's within the realm of possibility.
It's funny. All I heard of that was Bret Hart's the greatest ever, and that's who Kid Ref really wants to work with the best. But
oh God, I would have loved to rep Bret Hart. Bret Hart's amazing, man. I would have loved, and it's such a pleasure again to work with Teddy Hart, Harry Smith, Brian Pillman Jr., the Hart Foundation at MLW. Like that's awesome. To be in the ring with that legacy. I get to work with Teddy Hart a lot, and he's he's a different kind of cat for sure, but he's the nicest, sweetest, and such a creative guy too. Like he's awesome to be in there with.
Hear that, Impact dude? Bret Hart's awesome.
He is. He's got a great taste in football teams too, I should add. I should send you his jersey picture sometime.
You know what? We'll in this combo now. How's that, dickhead? But we still on the news. I mean, you mentioned the ECW arena. In the Philadelphia crowd, we have heard from PW Insider that Impact is going to be doing tapings in Philadelphia. We got Dubai TV deal. We got the Rebellion pay-per-view coming up in April. So, I mean, some big things there for Impact, just, to kind of touch up the news here. Griggs, I think you guys were going to ask a question because I'm a little off track. What were you, what was the next question we had on the dais here?
Well, I was just going to ask Kris, what's his normal schedule like for Impact? Like, how many matches do you ref in a given taping? And we noticed that Johnny Bravo also was recently injured in Mexico and wanted to know a little bit more about that.
Oh, well, Johnny Bravo, he was actually injured that week in Tennessee a few days before we went to Mexico, so he was off the Mexico cards. So let's say on a normal show, you ref generally 3 to 4 matches, depending on how many referees there are. Like anytime we're in Canada, distinguished referee veteran, refereeing since the 80s, Harry D. He joins the crew, and he's awesome. I love working with Harry. But so then it's usually around 3. So when we were in Mexico, it was just Brandon Toll and I, and it was 5 matches each. And you know what? Normally, I really pride myself. If you need me to do an entire show, I can do it. I'm not going to complain. But what a lot of fans may not realize, and I didn't realize this until I got there, the elevation in Mexico City is insane, and it just takes all the oxygen right out of the building. And just getting through a one match is so unbelievably more difficult than would be anywhere else that you'd be used to. And so just roughing that 5 matches, which was just 1 or 2 more than usual, but the fact that it was with that elevation in Mexico made it insanely difficult. It was one of the those 2 days we just did in Mexico last month were 2 of the most physically trying of my career for sure.
Outside of wrestling, what's something else that you guys you like to do on your time off?
I mean, all my time is pretty much dedicated to traveling for pro wrestling, figuring out everything with pro wrestling, getting through school. Right now, I'm in my last semester at the Atlantic Cape Community College down South Jersey, where I'm from. I'm about to graduate with an associate degree in history, and I applied for an online program with the number 1 rated online journalism school, UMass Amherst. So I'm looking to do that for a bachelor's. I'm real excited because ACCC, actually, the school I go to, they actually said they wanted to invite me back to be a guest lecturer for a English class in gender studies and a visual communication class in relation to social media and how it's expanding professionally. And I'm really excited to do that because I love teaching. And yeah, just writing and researching for Ripley's, that's kind of my thing, and it keeps me real busy, man.
And now, is that something that you want to kind of pursue in the future as well?
What's that, writing?
Yeah,
or teaching.
I absolutely love doing both. Right now, me, Brandon Toll, and Johnny Bravo, we do seminars with television production and refereeing, and just being involved with TV and wrestling at a higher level that I absolutely adore doing. It's one of the highlights anytime we get to do one. And for me, my greatest passion in life is always number 1. It's going to be storytelling, no matter what medium it is, but whether it's filmmaking or painting, or I love learning all about it. And writing is the one that I think is the most artistically fulfilling for me. And so I imagine writing is always going to be a part of my life, and it works perfectly with my current wrestling schedule. Because like when I'm on the road, if I have downtime, I can do research. I can write a bit. But generally speaking, I like to, I do my travels, come home, take a day to decompress. Then I'll just, lock myself in my room and just, pound out a story. And sometimes I can do it in one sitting of 12 to 16 hour marathon, or sometimes I'll space it out over the course of 2, 3, 4 days, but it's strenuous, but it's really, there's no better feeling than you have an idea in your head and you're looking at it, and then it's just like, God, how am I going to do this? Like, how am I going to put this together? Because I'm always really ambitious and really thorough. And then you just sit back after you're done and look at it and like, oh, wow, this really came together. I'm really happy with this. Like, that's an awesome feeling.
And, you know, we mentioned the creative, the storytelling, and writing and all that. I mean, how do you feel about the tape stuff behind the scenes where you get to act a little bit and show that different side of Kris or Kid Ref? How do you like doing that stuff?
Oh, I love that. We did one with Stone Rockwell where he was teaching me how to be man ref instead of kid ref, and we filmed that in Toronto, and I had so much fun doing that. There's a few others that we're talking about producing that, you know, nothing's confirmed or anything like that, but I hope they're able to be produced. I know one that I'm lobbying for forever, and I really hope we get to do in the future is. So right now I'm in my last semester, and this is my last doing some of my last prereqs for my associate's degree. And one of those classes that I'm not too good at is math. I have a lot of appreciation for science and math, but it's just not my thing. I'm an English and history guy, and I think that nobody would be better to help tutor me through my math class than Scott Steiner. So that's my dream thing to do next, but we'll see if that ever happens. I hope so.
Now, here's the thing, Kris. You know, we understand that there is some sort of a backstory between Rich Swann and OVE, right? We also understand that Kris Levin is involved in this story somehow. So I don't know whether you can, you know, what you can say about the storyline that we don't already know, but how are you involved in this triangle?
Okay, so I'm not going to comment on the storyline so much as I'm going to comment on the real life situation that I was, a bit involved with, especially as an observer. So coming up in South Jersey, I started in 2007, and around 2011, 2012. I'm sorry, 2010, 2011, Sammi Callihan moved from Ohio to the South Jersey area. And not long after that, Rich Swann moved from the Baltimore area to the South Jersey area as well. I believe they lived together for a bit. And Sammi Callihan's not the guy who brought me into pro wrestling, but he's the guy who kept me in pro wrestling. He's the one who, if it wasn't for Sammi, I would have never, I don't know if I would have ever left New Jersey. I don't know if I would still be in the pro wrestling business even. He was the one who took me out of just, doing local shows once a month, twice a month. He took me on the road with him, Rich Swann, and all kinds of Alex Cologne. One time with Pac, and just he got me out there. He got me into CZW. He was the one who introduced me to Jason Ayers, who one of my mentors, one of my role models. He's a WWE official. Taught me so much about refereeing and about life. Sammi and Rich Swann, they're two of my, Sammy's like my wrestling dad, he trained me. He helped train with me. He got in the ring so much, whether at shows or at practice, before shows, beating me up. Rich Swann, he's like a brother to me. He looks out for me, and they're both the kind of guys that not only are they good friends, but they're the kind that'll pull you aside. And I started when I was 15, so I was a goof. I saw him a goof, but I used to be a goof too. And if I was messing up, if I was doing something stupid, they'd pull me aside and tell me. And that's what a true friend is. And those are another two people that I'm really indebted to, and I'm really excited about what magic they're going to continue producing together in the ring with Impact. Yeah,
great stuff to hear, man. It's awesome to hear. And because we get the what we see on TV and all. So it's great to hear that kind of stuff. Now, the other thing that's going on too. We've got AEW, this All Elite Wrestling thing that started. Now they've apparently struck a partnership with AAA, who has the connection with Impact still right now. I didn't think about this, but the Impact dude asked it, and then I saw some articles that came out. If this was going to affect the Impact and AAA partnership too. From the sounds of it, it doesn't appear to do it now. Kris, are you going to be working all three companies now? Do you have any ties with All Elite Wrestling, or know if you'll be doing anything there?
Well, as of right now, no, I have no ties with All Elite Wrestling. I'm very happy with Impact, but I'm always open-minded to whatever comes my way. I'm not seeking out anything in life. I'm just taking the journey one day at a time and seeing what happens. But I'm more than happy with Impact. My dealings with AAA have only ever been through Impact. They are I guess you could call them the local promoter for whenever we go to Mexico, and their production team is absolutely incredible, top-notch professionals, and they're a joy to work with whenever we're down there.
Now this AEW thing it's really taken off and really gaining a lot, and with the billionaire backing, I think a lot of people kind of think like maybe it's another WCW thing coming now. I mean, as a fan, I kind of see two ways, but I feel like this could be harmful for Impact, could be great for Impact. Do you think that there's been rumors and whatnot, but do you think there's a potential for a partnership between Impact Wrestling and AEW in the future?
I think there's potential for anything in 2019. There's so many things that I would have never thought possible. We were talking about that earlier, that I would be a fool to say that anything, could never happen. I mean, of course, absolutely. I would not be surprised in the slightest if there was a partnership. I think AEW, the fact that it's a thing is awesome for the business, because, the more places there are for the boys to get, full-time employment to make a living is awesome, man. There's more stars, there's more wrestling to watch, more places for people to do all of that. And of course, competition is only going to help the boys, because, it's like when you saw in the 90s that, pay rates for talent were some of the highest they had been in history. Of course, wrestling, the money back in the 50s was some of the best paid athletes in the world, if not the best paid athletes, but it really spiked in the 90s because there were so many top-notch companies who wanted all the talent, and we're starting to hit an era like that again. So, I always cringe whenever people say that, I hope this company goes out of business or that company, because the only people that are being hurt when a company goes out of business are the professionals, and, by that same token, the fans.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing too with AEW, it does benefit a lot, and I agree with you. It's best, and it's great for business, and as a wrestling fan, it is too. I mean, we're seeing these bidding wars now, and there's the health insurance talk that they're going to be offering health insurance, which I assume, that's got to be a huge thing, because for one, I mean, these wrestlers got to be paying out of pocket for it, which has got to be a fortune, especially with their risk, and then if they got family members they're putting on. And do you think that's one of the huge draws and lures to why we're seeing some bidding wars going on? I mean, it seems like Dean Ambrose might be leaving WWE to go to AEW. There's talk there's even rumors they've talked to Randy Orton and AJ Styles is coming. Dolph Ziggler. I mean, do you think this is this going to be the game changer?
It could be. I mean, a lot of times you're going to see when you get to that upper echelon of professional wrestling that guys aren't marking the letters. They're marking the and how many zeros. So, what company, whatever's going to lead, because so many people look at it in terms of pro wrestling or what matches are they going to have, but there's a real life beyond that a lot of people don't consider, how many days am I going to be on the road away from my family? How safe and secure is not only my future, but my spouse's future, my children's future? And when you take things like health insurance and things like that, it can make the lives of everyone involved in this business so much better by changing certain precedents. So, I mean, I'm happy in pro wrestling and things are great, but I'm real excited to see where it leads.
Well, look, Kris, this has been one heck of a good show. Now, we know that you are a man in many places. Would you mind just reminding everybody where they can find you, what gigs you got coming up, and maybe even play some of those WrestleMania weekend 8 gigs, I think you said, out for them, so they'll know where to find you that weekend as well.
Absolutely. So at the end of every month, or beginning of the new month, I always put my schedule upcoming for the next, so you can always find that on there or shoot me a message and I'll tell you. But right now, so I just finished National Pro Wrestling Day with Chikara today. Just got home from that, which was an awesome charity event. And coming up, I have Impact Wrestling. We're going to be doing a TV taping in Las Vegas from February 15th through 17th. February 23rd, I'm going to be really excited to be making my debut with Destiny Wrestling in Mississauga, Canada, right outside of Toronto. March, currently what I have coming up, I'm going to be working with Keystone Championship Wrestling on the 2nd, right outside of Philadelphia. On the 8th, I'm going to be back with my home promotion, aside from Impact, Game Changer Wrestling, also in Philadelphia. I'm debuting with Northern Tier Wrestling in South Jersey. I'm going to be with Chikara back in Philly. I'm going to be with Impact again in Windsor. I believe I'm going to be with Synergy in New Jersey at the end of March. WrestleMania week, tentatively, because, just it's so much craziness going on that this schedule could change, because you never know with traffic and everything of whatever. But tentatively right now, April 4th, I've got Powerbomb TV's, I believe it's a family reunion event, which is going to be a showcase of promotions from all over the world that I'm really excited to be a part of. That's going to be noon on the 4th, part of the collective with GCW in Jersey. Then after that, 4 p.m., I have Game Changer Wrestling, and I'm pretty sure that this I might have a mix up, so I apologize. I think this is Joey Janela Spring Break Part 1 on the 4th, but that might be Bloodsport. I might be mixing those two up. And then later that night, I Impact in Rahway, New Jersey, which I'm really excited for. The next day on the 5th, I have Chikara, also part of the collective in New Jersey at noon. I have Game Changer Wrestling at 8 p.m., also in Jersey. Then on the 6th, I have Pro Wrestling Revolver at 11 a.m. in New York City. I have International Wrestling Syndicate at 4 p.m. back in Jersey, so hopefully I'll be able to avoid the traffic for that. And then my last one for WrestleMania week will be at 11:59 p.m. on April 6th that night. Game Changer Wrestling, Joey Janela Spring Break Part 2. So yeah, it's going to be a busy week. Let's see if I'm able to walk afterwards.
Awesome. And do you have any more articles coming out anytime soon that viewers should be checking out?
Yeah, I'm 2 articles that I'm really, actually 3 articles I'm really proud of that are waiting to be produced. I think you said this is going to be coming out on Monday the 11th. I think my next article with Ripley's is going to be produced. So on deck, The Walking Dead of Tana Taraji, which again, all these article titles are subject to the title being changed, but it's a really obscure funerary practice in Tana Taraji in Indonesia, where every few years they take the dead from their sarcophagus and they dress them up, they change their clothes, they parade them around town, and it's a really, at first it seems morbid, but when you get to the bottom of it, it's actually a really endearing and sweet in its own way view of life and death, and just taking a look at understanding that a bit more. I also have an article on Bigfoot hunters and hoaxers, which is it talks a bit about the mythology behind Bigfoot, but more important are the people and the communities surrounding Bigfoot. That you have skeptics who ardently don't believe, and then you have the true believers who are always going to think that the truth is out there, and then you have people who are, for whatever reason, serial hoaxers and keep faking Bigfoot evidence, and looking at kind of what caused that phenomena. And the one I'm most excited to come out is Carney. So like pro wrestling comes from the carnival circuit, and that has its own unique culture, its own language of Carney, which I can speak Carney and I can understand Carney, but my best friend, retrosexual Anthony Green, is an absolute pro, way better at it than me, and I was able to interview him for it and talk a bit about the history of the carnivals and the history of Carney language, so I'm really excited for that. Anytime I can get them to let me put out a wrestling article, I'm excited.
That's fantastic. All right, well, look, guys, you guys got anything else to do? Griggers?
No, I just definitely want to thank Kris for taking the time out with us. It was amazing to talk to you again. Really looking forward to it, and we definitely should do this more often.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me. I know last time we did was like a year ago, and that's 1 year too long. So anytime, I'd be happy to come back. You guys, the guys at Impact Asylum, you mentioned that, some of my earliest supporters with this whole kid ref, whatever it is, and it's really flattering and endearing. And no matter what I'm going through, no matter the stress of the road, the stress of school, or whatever life throws at me, it's always a guarantee that support and that positive energy always makes me smile. So from the bottom of my heart, just anyone who considers themselves a fan, or just if you enjoy, if I make you smile, if I make your viewing of the product even a little bit happier or more satisfactory than it would be otherwise, then that's all the fulfillment that I need professionally. So from bottom of my heart, thank you guys, and I love you all.
Yeah, and I can tell you right now that we absolutely share the same sentiment. We absolutely love watching the ring. We consider you a true friend and a great human being, which means a lot more to me personally than just watching you in the ring, is knowing that I'm watching a great human being in the ring. It's always nice to see good people succeed, and we absolutely wish you the best and hope that the best continues to be Impact Wrestling for quite a long time.
Oh, thank you so much. And, when Jason Ayers, he helped me so much. He still to this day does, but especially early on when he was giving me advice, his one thing that he asked me to do was to pay it forward. And that's something I really do take seriously with helping out anyone I can, especially, upcoming professionals and younger referees. I really try my hardest to help out. So I just want to pay it forward, do whatever I can to make the world just a little bit of a nicer place.
That's awesome, man. Well, once again, thank you for joining us tonight. Look, everybody, that's a wrap. That's all we got tonight. So on behalf of the entire Heelcast, my buddies Griggs and the returning Raven Effect, and especially a major, major thank you to our esteemed guest tonight, Mr. Kris Levin, a.k.a. Kid Ref. I'm Impact Dude. We will catch you next time.